the RPM podcast, starring Eric Brennan.
The tardiness, the sloppiness. My God, you've been coming into work hungover. But the truth is, you're nobody's first choice for this job. We're giving you one last chance.
Sam Ballard Jr.
You think I might screw up?
Scott Riggleman.
That's Scott. He's a dick.
Neil Rutt III.
Aren't you legendarily racist?
Nick Rendo.
It needs to be massive and long and wide.
Eric Graham.
I'm too shy to wear a crop top.
And Josh Matthews.
What the hell kind of people do something like this?
Welcome, everybody, to the 97th episode of the RPM podcast. As you can see, Eric Brennan's not here because he's not very reliable, and he's Eric Brennan. However, we do have Scott Riggleman joining us from the Edge of Divorce Motorsports Studios. Scott, how are you?
I'm good tonight. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Still breathing.
Fantastic. And still breathing down on Waretown, USA. A little shy off of Route 9. Josh Matthews. Josh, how are you, sir?
Yeah. Mad at Eric? Is that a thing? Basically, and I'm going to say it again. I already said it to these two guys before we started recording. Eric Brennan. All right, cool. Yeah, we're good for Monday afternoon, evening, around 7. Also, Eric, I have somewhere to be at 7.
Yeah, you have to be on the RPM podcast at 7. And obviously, that's not what he was talking about because he's not here.
He's on something else. I don't know what it is.
You know, I'm going to behave because I'm going to see him on Sunday, and I don't want to tick him off.
Maybe
so with that,
you might see him on Sunday.
You might.
You're right.
I think there's a far better chance that if we said, "Hey, Ted Groh, would you like to come out and be our host for our live show Sunday?" that he would make it there and be there before Eric and be more useful in setting everything up. Actually, I don't need Eric for anything. I still have his table from the last live show. And yours, Sam. So, anyway, that's Eric being useless.
You know, it's funny. We were getting ready for Easter at my house, and my parents were looking for that table, and I just remembered, you reminded me, Dad, full disclosure, I completely forgot that I stole the table for Easter. I know you're listening. I'm sorry. I took the table and I forgot about it.
and I've been hiding it, so I'm aiding and abetting, apparently.
Right. Anyway, speaking of hiding,
naughty boy,
who wasn't hiding at Richmond this past weekend was
that
Kyle
was
Busch.
A terrible segue.
Anyway, I tried.
I know.
I tried. Anyway, NASCAR, the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series was in Richmond, Virginia, for the Friday night and Saturday night feature races. It was a great race. I think Fox ends Fox's coverage of short track racing for the season. We're already like 8-9 races in. Season's flying by.
How many races does Fox get? I know it's supposed to be about half, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 15 or 16, something like that. You lost me, Josh. Lost me. All that I know, you can follow me on Twitter at Sam Ballard Jr., and I trashed the Fox Sports coverage for the NASCAR race. I know you.
And wait till
Scott,
NBC takes over.
Right, Scott. I know you were at Wall Stadium, but they had this bright idea of Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, and not Chris Wallace. Oh gosh,
Bubba Wallace.
No, I forget his name. Good golly.
Well, we're trashing announcers. Eric Graham will be happy.
It's not Chris. Anyway, so they're walking down the pit road. They're trying to do this whole like Will Buxton thing with F1, and it's just not working. You have Darrell Waltrip trying to interview people. It was insane. It was complete trash. Complete trash. That's all I had to say to Fox.
But here's the thing: Michael Waltrip does it all the time, and granted, he's goofy and annoying, but it's. I guess they're all used to it. I mean, actually, it wasn't Michael Waltrip. I think he went up and interviewed, I forget the actor's name that played Rowdy in Days of Thunder. He was talking
Chris
to him
Myers, by the way. It was Chris Myers. And I do know what you're talking about. You know what it is, though? Michael Waltrip has a personality about him that he's just goofy.
That about him? Is that what you just said it with a southern accent there, Sam?
About him. I don't know. It was horrendous. It was horrendous.
I think it's horrendous any way you look at it, but at least all the other drivers seem to know, oh, it's Michael Waltrip, and they're going to put up with some annoying BS for a minute, and then they move on with their lives.
Kind of like what
when
we
I
do
was
here
a kid,
at
all the
the
cup
RPM
races
podcast.
used to come on TV at 1:00, and when you turn on at 1:00, they were coming for the green flag. There was none of that pre-race stuff. You know what I'm saying?
They're just trying to use more of it to. Well, they want to get the inside scoop on everything before anybody else, and they want to sell more advertising time.
Right.
I understand that. I understand that. I mean, we don't need to know what color underwear Kyle Larson's wearing before he goes out to the race.
It's
but
pink.
give it to me straight. Kind of the opposite of Eric Brennan, but give it to me straight. You know what I'm saying?
Talking about Kyle Larson and trying to get it back to the racing, Kyle Larson and his teammate Jamie McMurray looked like they had a couple run-ins. Did you see any of that, Sam?
They did. I don't understand why that happened. And in the order of what had happened, I think Jamie McMurray got a little confused. Kyle Larson, his teammate, was ahead of him. Jamie McMurray got bumped out of the way, and it just ended up in this stupid little wussy fight between the two of them.
They said the problem was at the time of the race, the reason why it was so important didn't look important because they weren't running up front, but the importance of that problem was Jamie McMurray was the
first lap car.
Yeah, I don't think he was the go-around car or something like that.
Yeah.
And he wanted that lap back, and then I guess when Kyle bumped him out of the way, he lost that spot, so he stayed a lap down or whatever.
Right. And overall, unfortunately, well, good thing, both cars are running pretty well, the 1 and the 42 for Chip Ganassi. So I think overall he has to be happy with the performance, unlike the unsportsmanship they saw over at in Richmond. I know you guys, Scott, I know you didn't get to watch the race, but I don't know if you both heard about it. They were talking about Stewart-Haas Racing and how they kind of have these team orders going on between like the 41 and the 4 and the 14. And pretty much the 14, every other Stewart-Haas car was not to race each other. I thought the conversation we had with Nick Rendo in the past on the show, our F1 guy, about team orders, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. How important do you think team orders are in NASCAR? Do you think it works the same? If it doesn't, I don't know if you saw it. Josh, did you see it, listen to it at all?
I didn't listen to that part, but I'm going to say team orders I think it's stupid all the way through. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, I don't like team orders either. I mean, don't race your teammate hard on lap 25 or lap 100. I have a 500 lap race or something like that. I mean, there is common sense team orders, but when you're starting to give team orders to make different finishing orders, and then it's getting crazy.
Like for example, if I was running as a teammate to somebody, and all right, fine, now I'm going to lap
you
down.
Put your teammate in the fence at Turkey Derby, so we know how you are about TV.
Those were sand barrels, and he went on his side. And he also didn't know practice was still going. And that part was my fault. But what I was saying is, say I'm going to lap down, I may let my teammate by real easy, but I don't have to go as easy on the next guy. And, I could help him build a little bit of a gap or something like that.
There is some common sense courtesy when it comes to teammates, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, I do know what you are saying.
Yeah. They were Tony Stewart did not want to see his cars wreck each other battling for the lead halfway through the race. And I understand that. But it was some pretty hard racing between Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch for a long time there. And even Eric in the 10, he drove his butt up there. I mean, Stewart-Haas is probably the strongest team in the garage. And to have the guy like Tony Stewart say, hey, don't race one another, and the guy of Tony Stewart caliber, I thought was pretty cool. And all that I know is Clint Boyer and team orders at Richmond do not go well together. So that's all I was thinking of.
It is weird that you bring that up because Clint Boyer was probably nervous about that because he is, set up to be in the chase now with a win, and he's up in there in the points. He was probably real nervous when they were giving team orders.
What was it saying? His elbow was itchy or he sneezed?
Yeah,
right. Anyway, we march on. Like I said, Kyle Busch ended up winning the race. He had to battle. He had to battle a few guys for the win. Like I said, Eric Amarillo in the 10, he ran pretty strong. And it was just overall a pretty strong showing for Kyle Busch in the 18. Ended up tying Kevin Harvick with the 3 race wins in a row for the 2018 season. Short track racing overall, I give it a solid B+ compared to what we've been used to on the short track racing here in NASCAR. What do you guys give it? A, B, C, D, E?
I'd say a B. I thought it was a decent. There were some packs that were running together. I mean, and not like your Daytona Talladega pack. It was just like you had
Right.
weird groups of cars, people going 3 wide, 4 wide for a second back. I thought it was overall a pretty exciting race. I was also working on my kitchen floor at the time, so. I didn't get
Right.
to watch every second of it, but I would be like, and I would jump up and go and watch, and it was actually, I thought, a pretty good race. I did not get to see any video of what exactly happened to Harvick when the crew guys apparently threw some equipment and they got a penalty
Yeah.
for it. But I never saw a video of the throwing. Was it intentional? Was it like he tripped and it like
I don't
went
know.
flying out of his control? Because I thought that was.
I didn't catch it.
Because I mean, I want to know if it was an unsportsmanlike penalty or if it was, uncontrolled tire kind of a, along those lines. Was it accidental or whatever? Did you guys see that Kyle Busch met some prom dates?
Yeah, they got 2 seniors or whatever from local high school or whatever skipped senior prom to go see Kyle Busch race. They got free M&Ms and free T-shirts out of the deal. I mean, I guess that's what you do in prom when you live in Virginia. Just go to a NASCAR race.
I think they were related. Anyway,
The crowd looked decent though. Did they have a decent crowd? The clips I seen, the crowd looked decent.
Scott,
it
it's funny
wasn't
you mention
packed,
it.
but it wasn't bad.
Right. I went to the fall race in 2016 at Richmond, and just like Josh said, it wasn't packed, but there was a lot of people there. I think Richmond's a cool race. It's a short track, but it races not like a wall stadium. It races like a different
There's
short
room to
track.
race. It's short track, but there's still room to race.
Right, and then you have different lanes and stuff. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, Eric Lane, Jeff Lane, Melanie Lane. Oh, sorry.
Right.
But I was a little nervous that there wasn't going to be a good crowd on Saturday night at Richmond because I watched the Xfinity race on Friday night and they were bragging how great the weather was and it was a perfect night to sit out and watch a race and the grandstands were empty.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
that's
man,
it. I call it the modified syndrome. It's the same thing that happens at the local tracks. Everybody thinks because modifieds are the fastest or whatever, or the loudest, that they must be the best. And I think the truck race is usually the best race of the weekend. When you have the 3 series together. But like at Wall Stadium, I think the factory stocks are by far the best action most of the time. But a bunch of people leave after the modifieds because we saw the big fast cars. Like, no, you're missing all the good stuff. And I think I'm sorry, Sam, I was just going to say that I think it's kind of the same deal. Like people go to see the Cup guys; they don't care about the Xfinity guys or the truck guys.
And that's what I was about to bring up. This is one of the first races where there wasn't Cup guys in the Xfinity race, and no one showed up to see the race. So that's proven NASCAR's point, kind of, that they need the Cup drivers to draw a crowd.
Yes, and here's the thing. It was also a Friday night, which I know that's available for a lot of people. But if I was going to go to it after work, by the time I would get there, as opposed to having them on a Saturday, when you can, Sam, shut up. I don't know what you're laughing at, but I was going to say, you can go. If you were going to make let's say Dover. Let's say we have the trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup Series Monster.
Bring it.
Well, I would like to get down there Friday for the trucks or whatever, but, work and all that. But at least Saturday, if you're going down for the weekend, you have Saturday and Sunday. You can watch those 2 races. Getting down there on the Friday is a little bit more difficult if you don't have the I don't have the vacation time or anything to do.
Right. Real quick, It would have been helpful to have Eric Brennan here because I would be able to back him up, but he's not here. I did find out that they got a penalty because they were making an adjustment in the car, I guess the wedge or track bar, whatever it was, and when they took the wrench out, he threw it across the pits and back over the wall.
Okay, so he was done with it. He wasn't throwing it out of anger.
Yes.
Okay.
He was. Because, NASCAR limited the amount of people over the wall, so he did this. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's because of the angle I saw. It looked like he hit one of his crew guys square in the nuts. It bounced off the wall, went right into the guy's nuts. But that was Kevin Harvick's thing. And, it's funny. Kevin Harvick ran a adequate race, I would say, on Saturday night compared to most Kevin Harvick races. So I think overall it was a great comeback on his team. Let's see what else.
Did you see the tire that went bouncing around?
Yeah, it's funny. That's like the race they had last week at Bristol with the whole nut in the jack and everything. You know, he just
I'm
Eric
sorry, Sam.
Eric Amarillo, rear tire changer, took the tire, and the carrier took it and swung it to his right, expecting the catcher to catch it, and he didn't, and it bounced and it knocked the jack off, and it knocked the car off the jack.
Oh,
And
wow.
It really took. Gosh, I can't talk.
Sam is broken. It nudged it and turned the handle just enough that
Right.
the jack went down, and they had to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be from North Carolina on this episode. It knocked the car down, and when it knocked the car down, it really slowed down the pit stop.
Did Eric recoup
Oh, he
from
did.
that?
He did. The car was quick. That 10 car was on rails.
Where did he end up finishing?
Oh, good question. I got it right here. It was Eric. He ended up finishing 17th. I think that penalty, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, I believe that penalty happened before. So he made his way back up, but then I think he just fell back through pit strategies and whatnot towards the end of Richmond. But I could be wrong. Continuing with the bad luck down pit road, Martin Truex Jr. Truex luck again on pit road. These guys cannot get it right. He ended up losing like what, 6 spots, 7 spots?
Yeah, I
on
think
pit
it was
road
6
for the
spots,
final
Sam.
spot.
Yeah.
He just handed Kyle Busch the race win. Thanks, Obama. It's all your fault. And I still think personally.
Yeah. What
that
was
we're
their
gonna
problem?
see-
Oh, he didn't get. He didn't pump it enough. Is that right, Sam?
The 3 pumps.
Yeah.
You know, when you have to give it 3 pumps, you know it ain't working right. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
So that was the problem. He didn't get it up enough when he pumped
Right.
it.
Right. And to really quickly recap the Xfinity series, young Xfinity star Christopher Bell got his first win of the season in the number 20. Noah Gragson, the first race, finishing second to Christopher Bell. Really good race between the two of them. I'm not going to lie. I actually think I preferred the Xfinity race for the Monster over the Monster Cup series, the Monster Energy Cup series. Elliott Sadler finished third, and he won the Dash for Cash. And when he got out of the car, he said, well, my wife already spent $100,000.
Yeah.
So he got the money back that his wife already spent. But I thought overall it was a good race. Matt Tiff finishing 4th. Austin Cindric ran to the top 5. I don't know if you guys get to catch the Xfinity race. It was a great race.
Yeah, I did watch the Xfinity race. I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed watching the 18 car trying to catch the 20 car. They were battling it out and duking it out through lap traffic. I kind of enjoyed that race.
I wanted to
good
watch
to
it.
see.
I was working.
It was good to see the president of the Ryan Priest fan club win the $100,000. Elliott Sadler did a great job.
Right. and real quick, shout out to my friend Christian Hicks. Him and I were texting throughout the Xfinity race, and he told me originally that Gragson wasn't going to catch Bell, but I said he was, and he ended up being right. Gragson couldn't pass him. He caught him, but couldn't pass him. Gragson was moving the lanes up and down, left and right, and he just couldn't find the magic. You know, what's that old saying? It's one thing to catch a guy, another thing to pass him.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a good race.
But
and,
I mean,
Joe Gibbs.
But no, that was his first Xfinity race ever, and to finish second in that's a great accomplishment. I hope to see him do more races.
I think it was with Michael Waltrip, or one of them said on Friday night that Joe Gibbs has a serious issue, and all jokes
they
aside,
got more
he really
race car
does.
drivers than cars. You know,
They do, and they got to make a satellite team. Maybe give JD another team. Open another team.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to go
I think
on.
you're going to see them expand with Furniture Row a little bit. I think something's got to happen there. They got that whole Furniture Row deal going on, and they can expand over there and make them a satellite team.
Because
I mean, all the other teams do it. I mean, Roush does it with Front Row Motorsports.
They don't do it well though.
But I mean, Front Row's starting to have some good finishes and some good runs with Michael McDowell and David Reagan.
Yes.
I
That's
mean,
'cause Michael
Joe
McDowell
Joe just does it too with having the one grandson over at at the Geico team with
Jermaine.
With Jermaine, yeah, and they're doing pretty good over there too. So I mean, all the other teams are doing it. Gibbs is going to have to reach out and do that themselves too. They're just getting way too many good drivers. They got to find seats for them.
Yeah, Ryan Priest needs a ride.
No, he doesn't.
Plain and simple. Yes, he does. Elliott Sadler might agree with you, Josh. But
Since we're talking about this,
Elliott Sadler.
Every year we lose a top driver. Who do you think that's going to be this year? Like, last year we lost Matt Kenseth. He lost his ride to a younger driver. Any guesses who that might be this year, or do you think everybody's
Hopefully Larson if he doesn't perform.
Larson. young driver. It might be Jamie Mack though. I think you're close. I mean, Jamie McMurray might get pushed out.
Only because of age, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like who else out of the older guys?
Kurt Busch.
Well,
Kurt Busch says he's.
I was about to say I thought Kurt Busch. I think Kurt Busch is going to lose that ride. I personally think, and Christian Hicks and I were talking about this again. Christian's a great guy. He should be our Reddit guy because everything Reddit talks about, it's just fantastic to have opinion on. You think about it. Stuart Haas needs some talent. They have Cole Custer. You have Jeb Burton. Bounce around team to team. You have Harrison Burton, Jeff Burton's son. I mean, there's a lot of raw talent out there waiting to be tapped into, and Joe Gibbs can't be the only one drinking out of the fountain. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you're right. It does seem like he's doing it. I mean, Richard Childress has Daniel Hemrick, but other than that, he doesn't have.
And who does Hendrick have? All of Hendrick's young guys are in the Cup Series right now.
He moved them up too fast. I think he should have.
I agree, but
it still baffles me today that Matt Kenseth is without a ride and Trevor Bain's still in the series. It really baffles me.
Hang on. But I want to say we have Casey Kane, who could be one because he'll run decent once in a while.
He already dropped to a lower tier team, so I think he's safe where he's at.
I disagree with that. I don't think he's safe. The only thing is I'm sure he brings sponsorship over to that 95 team. And I love Levine Family Racing. I pass their shop every morning.
Do you spit on that?
They're always... No. That's the old Alan Kowicki shop. Fun fact for those listening. Levine Family Racing uses Kowicki's old shop. And no, I don't.
You told us you could spit on it from the...
I thought you said if I spit on it. Yeah, I could spit on it, but no, my luck if you go back in my face. You know what I'm saying?
Another one. I was going to say, Joey Logano. Well, Clint Boyer's been around for a while, so Clint Boyer, other than his win,
Clint Boyer's not going anywhere.
You don't think? Didn't he almost lose? Wasn't he almost booted?
He did. I personally think Clint Boyer is probably the number one most underrated driver in the sport.
No, I love Clint Boyer, but I'm just saying I would be worried because he almost lost a ride a while ago, and he's a little bit older. I mean, otherwise I'd say Joey Logano he's been in there for quite a while now. How many years?
He's still young. I think Penske's happy with his lineup now with Brian Cazell, with Brad and Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. I think Penske's real happy with his lineup.
Well, look, we talked about alliances and stuff. Paul Menard, where the hell did he come from this year? I mean, he's running fantastic in that 21 car. I mean, it kind of makes Richard Childress look like an ass for dropping him.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. I mean, Ryan Newman, you know what? There's a name. Ryan Newman might be done after this year, too. He's starting to struggle,
Yeah. The thing is, though, he's a really entertaining guy to watch get lapped because he doesn't get lapped because he refuses to lose. So I think
rather than get lapped,
Right. I think Ryan Newman said he'd wreck his own mother before he actually, if he'd wreck his own mother if he had to.
Yeah, yeah. But I think those are you're looking for generally the oldest drivers,
right?
I would think so. Right. I don't know. That would be mine, but I know Joey Logano is still younger, but
he's been in the sport since 2009, and he mentioned on a local interview he gave that as much as he is one of the older guys in the sport, I think he's like 27, 28.
Yeah, he's still young. He started.
He's got like 10 years at least.
Yeah, he's good.
At least.
Yeah,
I think Trevor Bain, even though he's a young guy, he's got to start putting up, or he's going to have to get the.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Roush is in trouble. I think Ricky Stenhouse is great, but I think Roush. I agree with you, Scott. They need to find some talent, whether that be Cole Custer, Harrison Burton, even Jeb Burton. Somebody, even bring an old guy back like a Matt Kenseth, just because, I think Matt Kenseth would have done really well.
You know what? You bring up Harrison Burton, he might be a good fit for Roush because, I mean, there's the tie-in with Jeff Burton, raced for Roush for many, many years. So that might happen,
And then Carl Edwards is going to come back someday.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's running for office. So as the lights go off at Richmond, we look in the window in front of us, and God, I can't make a segue today. And we have Talladega coming up. We have a live show coming up, River Rock in Talladega. We'll dive more into Talladega at the live show. Check us out April 29th at River Rock. Start at 12:30. Drinks are cold, and I heard Josh Matthews is buying me a drink, so I'll be there.
Of course, I gotta get you all liquored up.
Right. Fine dine and podcast. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, that's
Real
right.
quick,
April 29th. I think the show goes live at noon or 12:30.
12:30, I believe. And if
12:30.
Eric Brennan's not there, I will be there, and you can buy me drinks if you like.
We'll be better off without Eric.
Right.
Again, I already said
Right.
I have his table, so I'm all good to go. And that again will be at River Rock Restaurant and Marina Bar in Brick, New Jersey, on Route 70, right by the bridge there. Beautiful view. If you're not watching the race, which I mean, you should be watching the race or us, or
By the water,
the water.
Talladega,
It's
the
over
water.
here.
So I got to be Eric Brennan. Real quick, we're not going to get into Talladega, but I want your guys' pick. If you had to pick one guy to win Talladega, who would it be?
I was going to
Scott,
save
go.
that for the show.
I want to do it now. I want to do it now. Restrictor plate race is really anybody's game. I'd really like to see Chevy win. Chevy did win the Daytona 500, but I just don't see it happening. You know what? I'm going to go with a Stewart Haas car. For some reason, Kurt Busch, we just mentioned him. For some reason, his name's popping into my head. I have no reason why, but I'm going to go with Kurt Busch for the Talladega win.
Good old Kurt Busch. Josh?
Oh, geez. I'm going to go with the Dinger.
Oh, my God. I thought I was
Wow.
crazy with my pick.
Hey, it's a Chevy, though.
It is a Chevy.
It's a Chevy. It's a Chevy.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I'm
I
going
can't-
with Michael McDowell. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
all right.
Hey, but you know what? We all got crazy picks, but it's a crazy race. You never know who can win
That's
that
right.
thing.
Yeah,
That's right.
honestly,
And like,
if not, I mean, like William Byron. I don't know.
nah.
No.
They
Now you
did
get
mention
real
though
crazy.
Chase Elliott finished 8th. He finished 2nd 8 times in a row at Richmond, and his dad finished 2nd 8 times before he won his first Cup race.
Yeah,
That's all
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
Chase is definitely going to knock the door down.
Boring.
I'm sorry, I don't think he's that impressive.
That's
He's
some
not that
Illuminati.
impressive, but you know what? There's a rule in racing. You hang around the top 5, you're bound to win sooner or later. And he's
Right.
been knocking on the door, and he's going to get a win. There's no doubt
Right.
about it.
I don't think it's gonna be Talladega.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. Fun
It
fact.
could be.
you know,
Though. I mean,
tin hats.
his dad used to smoke him on the super speedway, so why can't Chase? You know?
But that
back
was
before restrictor plates.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. That's right where I was going with that.
Hey, I like Bill Elliott. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Chase, I love you, Chase. Come buy me a beer. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, there'll be more on Talladega at our live show. Come check us out. Food, drinks, Josh Matthews. I mean, who wants more? I mean, there's nothing more in life you can ask for. Real quick.
If you don't want to know where I am, I'll be in the middle of the circle of ladies.
So that tied up the race weekend. Wow, Josh, I am not a lady. That tied up the race weekend announcement right after we released the podcast from last week that Ford is bringing the Mustang finally to the Cup Series. The Mustang. The Mustang. The Mustang. That's all I'm saying.
No, they're called douche stangs.
All right, whatever. Hey.
Flat brimmed hats and all.
Anyway,
prove me wrong.
Hopefully the car is not as ugly as the hopefully Chevy doesn't touch the Camaro from this year. I think the Chevy has the sexiest stock car we've seen in years, and hopefully the Mustang can compete.
Why do you keep calling it that?
I hope the Mustang is competitive like the Ford Fusion is this year. That's all I'm saying. But cool to bring that muscle, power, branding competition to NASCAR. Props to Ford and props to Chevy. And Toyota has the Camry. And it's probably going to kick both their asses. So regardless, hey, more power to you. Anyway, show must go on.
Rear-wheel drive Camrys. I love it.
Right. As we move on to open wheel, it was a wet and miserable weekend in Alabama for the IndyCar Series. Joseph Newgarden started on pole and ended up winning the race.
Well, that
he just
way to spoiler alert.
Right. Well, if you listen to the RPM podcast, and most people who listen to our podcast work like all of us do on the show, so I couldn't watch the end of the podcast at the end of the race because I had class. But Joseph Newgarden won. It was a awful race. It was an awful weathered race yesterday. They ran like 23 laps. In between then, 2 red flags, and James Hinchcliffe decided to pee his pants.
Well, I was
and I don't know because I'm not a race car driver.
Go ahead.
What?
No,
As not a race car driver, I can say I've never purposely peed my pants. So I wanted to extend the conversation to the two fellow race car drivers I'm talking with, and I'll begin with Josh because Josh, I'm curious. Have you ever peed your pants?
No, I haven't. I nearly got frostbite racing in the snow for a 100 lapper because that took forever. It was 8 degrees, so.
So did you pee on yourself to feel warmer?
No. I actually, I thought that after the fact, I should have put a heater core in there and a little fan or something. But whatever. I've had the closest I've come to anything like that, or the closest story I can relate would be there was one night and my belts were poorly adjusted and my crotch belt was way too tight and it was painful, but you're in the middle of a race, so you just have to deal with it. And then Neil Rutt, the steering, he had a steering issue where I think the welds failed that held the Scott, what's the part that the wheel connects to? Because that part,
the steering column bracket. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that failed, and the steering wheel basically came off, and it was still locked onto the thing, but the steering shaft is still there, right. And so he couldn't turn anymore, so it went up into the wall, and his Hans device tweaked his neck just a little bit, like just from the way he hit. The way, I guess maybe he was looking to the side when he hit, so he got that. Whatever. They ended up cutting part of the roof off the car. They got him out. He was okay, thankfully. It was a scary hit, but we had this nice red flag, and I was able to undo my belts and readjust and fix my groin and all that before we started back up. So I was actually thankful for the red. But yeah, Scott's run a lot more longer distance races.
I've learned. You know what? I don't even think about that when I'm racing. To tell you the truth, there's times I pull down on the track and I'm like, man, I should have went to the bathroom before I came down on the track. As soon as they throw the green flag, I don't even think about it anymore. And then even after the race, you deal with tech and you get loaded up and get my truck, start heading home. I'm like, man, I never went to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't think about it when I'm out there. It really has never even come across my mind.
Have you ever been maybe something wasn't adjusted properly or like you?
Oh yeah, that can drive you crazy. I not really stuff adjusted properly. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable in my car, but if there's one speck on my windshield or on my visor, it drives me freaking crazy.
I'm not gonna lie.
Nancy can jump in her car. I never even see her clean her windshield off. And windshield's dirty. She just goes out and drives it. Doesn't even bother her. I'm cleaning my windshield 5 times because I'll clean it and then I'll look and there'll be like one streak in the way and I got to wipe it again and then another streak. I can't have anything on my windshield.
Wait, Sam. Sam, before you go, I'm sorry, but Scott, you and I run the screen though when in the summer.
Well, yeah. Well, I was just going to say that's another reason why I go to the screen because you can see through it easier. You know what I'm saying? But
the bars don't bother you of the screen?
Nah, they don't. They don't. I can see right.
They don't get dirty.
Yeah.
All I was going to say is working on the grid. I always see Scott cleaning the windshield because he either pits right near the grid or if he's on the grid, Nancy's normally cleaning it or he's normally cleaning it before he gets in. I do always see him cleaning his windshield.
Yeah, but the screen doesn't bother me. I look right through that. That doesn't bother. It is weird when I first take the windshield out and put the screen in. It takes a few, a race or so to get used to it. But I can't stand a dirty windshield.
I mean, it's never slowed you down. But I just wasn't sure if a streak if a streak bothers you, but the screen does. How about skid marks?
Skid marks are fun. They don't bother me either. I'll have Sam check for him when he's checking the underwears.
Right. I'm not touching that one. I don't want to lose my job. Anyway.
You already did, so Eric's doing it now.
True. And I got demoted to this crap we call the RPM podcast. Anyway, Joseph Newgarden wins at Barber Motorsports Park. Sebastian Bourdais did not. He actually I read an article. He drowned it in the rain today. Didn't do so well. He could have got a podium, but didn't. I believe he finished 8th. But the Hondas were at it again, as they normally are. Besides, Joseph Newgarden winning the race was a fleet of Hondas behind him. The one thing Eric Brennan mentioned, and I'm surprised he didn't come because it would be a good talking point. After they red flagged the race, apparently IndyCar allowed, because they were in the middle of the race. The cars were all on different strategies at that point
Mhm.
because they knew they were going to red flag the race. IndyCar let everyone refuel the car today before they got
Why?
going again.
Why?
Right. I have no
What,
idea.
do they have
I have
leaky
no
fuel
idea.
tanks?
No, I just think I think it kind of threw one less thing out the window to them to worry about. I don't know. That's the only thing I have to complain with this weekend. IndyCar did a fantastic job calling the race yesterday, from what I saw as an official, because I'm a quote-unquote official.
Now they just let them refuel them, or do you think they actually drained them, or were they maybe worried about having moisture in the fuel tanks, so maybe they drained them and refueled
From my
them?
understanding, Eric and I talked about that. IndyCar allowed them to refuel the cars.
Right.
I'm
So
gonna
just
fact check myself.
adding fuel, no draining. Which it's hard to like. We're speculating, and I hate doing it. While Sam's looking that up, well, obviously the road course races can run in the rain, and you see that with IndyCar and Formula One. Now, this was some pretty heavy water to the point that they actually red flagged it and postponed it because the rain was so heavy and it was puddling up really badly on the front stretch. I mean, just ask Will Power. But do you think F1 would have just gone ahead and trudged through, or would F1 have, called it and waited?
So, fun fact, and real quick, they allowed the teams to make adjustments, which included refueling the cars. Last year for the WKA, we were racing at Pittsburgh, and it was a controversial call that the race directors, me and the other race directors made, Eric Graham and Kevin Williams at the time, to actually allow the race to go past its halfway point, and then we red flagged the race because we could. First off, the kids on the track weren't even on rain tires, and there were kids on the track. And then on top of that too, I couldn't see my hand in front of me. It was it rained that hard, and we got flack for it. And I think that's one of the
awesome
things
when you're a race director.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that you need to realize is that if there's a difference between rain and like, holy crap, it's raining men.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad.
Yeah. And who's having fun? I mean, I've been in enduro races when it started raining. We keep going. It's fun for about 5 or 6 laps. And then, like you said, you really lose. At first when it's just getting wet, you're just sliding around a little bit and it's kind of fun. But when you totally lose the track, it's not even fun to be out there anymore. You're going like half throttle, not even half throttle.
I think Aaron Lineman would argue because he ran the Lemons race and it was pouring rain. He said he was soaked. There were puddles in the car. The water was getting into their blower for their helmets, and he was loving it.
Like I said, it was fun for about 5 or 6 laps, and then it got like, this sucks. Who's having fun? The people that watching the race aren't enjoying the day. It's the day shot.
Well, it's funny because IndyCar, I know Tony Kanaan had to switch helmets because there was moisture getting inside the helmet, and he was getting wet inside his helmet. I know there's precautions, that drivers can do to have lack or be prepared for that. I'm surprised there wasn't as many taken as there was. And IndyCar's reasoning to allow them to refuel was because there was no logical way. This is a quote from IndyStar.com. Quote, there was no logical way to keep crews away from the cars. So we had to just let them do it. They couldn't.
They didn't have enough officials to like lock the car, to basically impound it.
Yeah.
Okay. And hey, IndyCar, if you're listening, hit me up. DM the RPM podcast. I'd love to work for you guys.
I don't think they can afford it.
Scoring at Wall Stadium.
Right. Yeah. I'm on the unemployment line. Anyway, so that was one of the reasons. Otherwise, the IndyCar race it really wasn't much of a race. When there's that much rain on the track, it's just more of who can drive the smartest and who could drive the slowest yet the fastest in the rain. And Joseph Newgarden seemed to do pretty well at it.
It's like a speed walking race.
Right.
That's exactly what it looks like. That's a good that's a good way to explain it. Where did can you give us some results? Where did Marco Andretti finish?
Yes.
Where did Will Power finish?
They still have it here as the unofficial results, and it's 9:20 p.m. the night of the race. Joseph Newgarden won. Ryan Hunter-Reay finished second. James Hinchcliffe third, and your boy Andretti finished. Gosh, I can't read today. 10th. He finished 10th.
So he's got another top 10. That's good. What about Will Power?
Spun out. Will Power wrecked. I'm glad you mentioned that. Will Power hydroplaned.
It was on a restart. They had gone yellow for their weather. Then they went back green. And on the front stretch, as Scott pulls off his headphones, is he listening for Nancy or a cat?
Well, for those listening, they were getting ready to go green, And instead of throwing the restart off, they actually went green, and Will Power wrecked coming to the green. And because of that, IndyCar officials were like, well, crap. We just lost Will Power as we lose Scott Riggleman. And it was one of the most it was pretty vital thing. And Will Power felt like, hey, I got gypped. But IndyCar is IndyCar. And I actually have to agree, IndyCar made the right call to stop the race when they did.
But
however,
wait. So do you think that they should have maybe stopped it that lap earlier instead of letting Will Power be the voice of reason or incident of reason?
It's something, Josh. I thought the track was better when they threw the third red flag after Will Power wrecked than when they were going to go green, and I thought that was probably a missed call on their end.
Yeah. Which again, it's a judgment call, and you have to figure out if the drivers are going to be okay with it or not.
Right.
And you don't really know, and then Will Power just goes, spinning around, and he actually almost had it. I think he could have, if there was more room, he could have just spun and then kept going, but he ended up slapping that left front pretty hard against that wall.
Yes. And I think he realized he was too pissed to realize.
All right, Josh, cue the music. We got some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
We were just talking about it.
I don't know, I guess.
You guys ready for this one?
Sure.
No.
You really sure? Any guesses? We were literally just talking about it a little while ago.
Is it dinner with racers?
No, this is from jski.com.
Okay.
Matt Kenseth is returning to NASCAR Cup Series, driving Roush Fenway Racing's number 6 car in select races this season. Multiple sources SB name. We were just talking about Trevor Bayne, weren't we?
Wow. So so Kenseth?
Wow, I gotta change the title of this episode again.
Kansas will share the number 6 Ford for the remainder of the 2018 season with Trevor Bayne, who has driven the car on a full-time basis since 2015, but will now move to a part-time status.
Scott, I love you.
So is this a talent move, or is this a financial move?
No, it's definitely not a money thing. It's because Trevor Bayne hasn't been doing anything, and Matt Kenseth is sitting on the sidelines. Why not give it a shot,
Well, I wasn't sure if he was actively campaigning for it. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Nancy's cat.
Well, we all know Matt Kenseth has a long-standing relationship with Jack Roush. He raced there for many years.
All I'm saying is rewind this episode 20 minutes ago, and I said the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Matt Kenseth's first race for the Roush Fenway is expected to be May 12th at Kansas Speedway.
Okay. That's not too far off.
Well, you know what it is? First off, I got to pick Trevor Bayne going to Talladega then for the suicide pool because he's not going to be in the car anymore. And Trevor Bayne's he's actually a really good plate racer. So I'm happy to see that was a smart move on their end, and I'm glad for Matt Kenseth. I have always been a big Matt Kenseth fan.
Well,
big
Talladega
fan.
is this weekend. What's the race after Talladega? I wonder why they're picking Kansas.
Or do they have a week off? I'm not sure.
No, Charlotte's the after that. They have the All-Star race.
Oh yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
I think there is a week off. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Well,
Charlotte's not until like Memorial Day weekend or something, right?
Oh, Dover's May 6th, and then they go. I'm sorry. It's Talladega, Dover, and then Kansas.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't put Matt Kenseth for Dover. He runs good at Dover,
You're right. Maybe that was a sponsor move.
Yeah.
Great call for Jack Roush, though. I think they need some talent over there. Nothing against Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Sonny D, and good old Trevor Bayne. But I love them both. But great move. As for IndyCar, we'll wrap it up.
I wanted to... never mind. Go ahead.
No. Good.
No, I had a NASCAR tidbit that I thought was...
good.
That wreck with Stenhouse, where he kept it off the wall barely, then almost hit the cars on the inside. That was good. That was just a really wacky spin wreck. Not a whole lot of damage, but kind of a what the hell is those are the wrecks that when I'm racing, I fear those wrecks because you don't know where the car is going to end up. A lot of times wall tends to be kind of self-cleaning, and so I tend to be able to go to the high side and get around most of the crap. But that's one of those wrecks where he's up high. Oh, no, he's low. So that was just fun to watch, I think.
It looked like a video game wreck. It was almost like Jesus, take the wheel. Let go of the remote, and whatever happens, happens. Anyway, speaking of IndyCar, I put a quick wrap on it. The mayor of Shimtown, who listens to us weekly, we appreciate the listen. Go follow him on
I want to have
Twitter.
him on the show. Is that fair?
We do. Oh, I actually, he said he'd come on the show. We just have to invite him during when he feels comfortable enough to come on. Mayor of Shimtown's a listener. We appreciate him. Go follow him on the Twitter at Mayor of Shimtown. But Josh, he gave us a pretty decent. He always reviews and comments on our stuff, and if you haven't done so already, you should comment and subscribe and leave us feedback, especially on iTunes, because we get more recognition that way.
Actually, we're looking at making a deal with you guys, with our listeners, right, Sam?
Oh, that's right. That's right. In exchange of leaving feedback and commenting on our iTunes, I will send you nudes of myself. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Popped in there.
In return, we're talking about doing some raffling off with T-shirts. Maybe if you want to come on the show, give you a quick 2 seconds of fame. We just go and leave us some feedback on iTunes, and I promise I won't send you pictures of me. That's fair.
You don't want that. So yeah, basically, if you leave us, it doesn't have to be a good review. It can be a negative review. It can be a 1-star. You guys are terrible review, and we'll still give you a T-shirt for you to, I don't know.
But all I'm saying is, listeners, look who's here this week, and look who isn't here this week. You just leave some positive reviews on that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So with that, going back to Mayor Shimtown, he tells us what he likes, he tells us what he doesn't like, he tells us his opinion, and we appreciate that. And he learned that our host, our old host, our has-been host, our loser host, Eric Brennan, he learned that Eric Brennan has a heart of gold except when Josh is in the hospital, which is true.
Yeah,
it's true.
No, absolutely. That's. I can't think of anything more accurate than that.
Secondly, it says here that he's against, is it fire dragging or tire dragging?
I was rushing and typing with my phone, trying to add this stuff into the doc. It is tire dragging. He is not a fan of tire dragging, although he doesn't specifically say that he's against the sticky compound.
Right. I mean, who wouldn't be? I mean,
I prefer lube
against it. Right. Right. But if KY can't do it, nothing can,
I'm sorry. Now, here's the thing. Now, he had also commented, and Sam, if you want to bring up that message, that might bring a little more light on this.
Yeah, give me a second.
Or just his review for our YouTube channel, or that video. He seems to think that IndyCar will be. This is going back to when we talked about IndyCar not having some of the big names. I mean, yeah, we do have a Ray Hall, a Fittipaldi, and Andretti.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, that guy. Sorry, Scott. But we're talking about they don't have these big star names like they used to have. And he seems to think that they're going to be recruiting like Alain Prost, some of these Formula E guys who now that might help IndyCar, but I'm not sure if these guys are going to want to leave Formula E. I know in a way Formula E is kind of like the bottom of the barrel, like a stepping stone for some people. Right. But I think that series is gonna explode and become very popular.
It's like the difference of dating a jerk or not dating anyone at all. And most people would rather date the jerk because they don't want to be single. You know what I'm saying? It just makes sense.
I have no idea where you're going with this, Sam.
All right, never mind. He also told us that he agrees with you, Scott, over the Dinners with Racers podcast.
I saw that. He said he doesn't like hearing him chew on food either while the podcast is going on.
Yeah, Dinner with Racers. Chew on that.
You know what? This week, or last week and beginning of this week, I know Josh loves when I promote other podcasts on here, but I haven't been listening to the Dinners with Racers podcast. I kind of switched over to Mark Martin. Mark Martin has a pretty good podcast going on. He talks about a lot of racing. He's got about 4 episodes, and I completed the 4th episode today. I was out doing my toes at work today. It's a pretty good one too. So, but now I listen to all 4 of his podcasts that he had up already, and now switch back to Dinner with Racers after Josh posts the RPM podcast.
Right, and And we support other podcasts here in the RPM podcast, but after you listen to our episodes. That's all we're saying.
Speaking of which,
you know what's crazy? I always paid for the satellite radio on my truck, and it is getting expensive. And it's like, you should drop it. But now I need it because I'm in the tow truck so many hours a day. But I have been, now that I've been doing the podcast with you guys, and Eric told me about the Dinner with Racers podcast, and I found the Mark Martin one. I have enjoyed listening to the podcast, through my phone.
That's it, and you can
But
download.
It's funny.
I've
never listened. I never listened to the Dale Jr. ones yet. I heard they're pretty good too. Have you ever listened to them?
Door Bumper Clear is really good, which is part of the Dirty Mo.
I don't know why I don't like that one.
I like Brett Griffin.
Yeah, you're allowed to like it.
Dale Jr. himself does one, right?
Yeah. I go against the grain, Scott. As much as I do love Redneck Jesus, I don't listen to his podcast. I get enough. Yeah, Saint Jr. That's right. Mama Jr.
And what I was going to say is to save on data too. If you download a show on while your phone is on Wi-Fi, or download it to like an MP3 player or something like that, and then you can listen to it and not use data while you're driving.
That's a good tip, because I've been killing my data by listening to.
Shows. Come on, Scott. It's 2018, man. You're so 2000 and late.
Hey, I was always listening to our show through YouTube, and then I finally started listening to the SoundCloud to save on some of the data.
You know what you gotta do, Scott? You gotta like us, subscribe to us on SoundCloud, leave a comment, and then you're good to go. That's all you gotta do. Anyway, to go back to Mayor Shimtown, he also agrees with Eric Brennan to put the victory lane for IndyCar on the front stretch, or towards where the fans can access it.
I agree. I think it's a better show, because I mean it's. Yeah, television matters, and like he agreed, like, yeah, you got to keep your cameramen and stuff like that up and close and give them the best shot. But let the fans down there, let people have that experience. I mean, it may be only a select few still, but at least like with Evergreen, and Wall, they do their victory lane right there, boom, center.
Right.
I think New Egypt too, but yeah.
You know what it is? I think people see how cool F1 is, but you got to remember too, F1 has a huge following outside the United States, and I think they're trying to get that. Right.
Like soccer is huge all over the world, except in America.
Right.
I tell you, every day, on the weekends when I go out in my garage, Sunday morning, I try to find racing stuff going on. And it's all freaking soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Soccer's on the TV right now.
Mm. But it's cool. I think racing is in a part of the sport that we have to decide where we want it to go. And I think we're leaning towards the right direction with the interaction point of it. I think people are seeing what F1 did, and like we can make that better. And NASCAR totally can. I mean, look at Kyle Busch getting in. I know we're going back to NASCAR, but look at Kyle Busch, going out in the grandstands and signing his Kyle Busch fan shirts. You want to know what? He's getting more and more fans that way. Tom Meents used to do that with, I don't know if he still does it with the
helmets.
Jam.
Yeah.
He used to give his helmets away like they were candy.
And the trophies. Yeah. Whenever at Englishtown, if he won, he would go out and he'd hand the trophy to some, kid.
That is so cool. Let's be honest now.
A quick John Blewett, the third story. You just see Tom Meents used to hand his helmets out and stuff like that. I remember one day after John won like a 150 lap race up at Flemington Speedway in the modified, some guy came in the pits and he's like, "Hey, John, I want your racing gloves." John looked at me. He's like, "Why does this guy want my stinky, sweaty ass racing gloves?" So John's like, "You know what? I'll give them to the guy. What am I going to do? I'll just buy a new pair, So John gave the guy his racing gloves, and the guy had him autograph it and everything. Well, the guy came back the next week and showed John, "Hey, look, I put it in a frame. I put a little plaque on the frame saying it was John Blewett's racing gloves, from winning something." So ever since that day, John started giving away his racing gloves after a big win like that. And I thought that was pretty cool, how something he thought was really stupid turned into kind of like his thing. He started giving away his gloves.
Well, let's be honest now. Kyle Busch doesn't pay for his race helmets.
No, I understand that. And John Blewett did pay for his race gloves. But he still gave them away,
I'm still waiting on my Riggleman Racing mug.
You should have been at the track Saturday. I had about 12 of them. I gave them out at FanFest.
You know what you should do? You could buy a T-shirt launcher and keep it in the back of your car, and then when you win at Wall Stadium, you just launch it.
Yeah.
Just launch it. Launch the crap out of those shirts.
Well, no, if he mounts it just right on his car, he can fire it backwards and slow down.
time what Felix used to do. Remember Crazy Felix in the factory section? He used to throw a lot of T-shirts out.
I actually have one of his T-shirts.
Felix is crazy. I love him, but he's crazy.
Don't get me wrong. I really thought it was cool that Kyle Busch did go into the stands and greet the fans in the grandstands. But it's kind of like a copycat thing, though, because Clint Boyer did it. Now he did it. You know what I'm saying?
Carl Edwards did it.
Carl Edwards. But whatever. I definitely think it's cool. I think our superstars in NASCAR now are finally catching on that if they want to keep these big hefty paychecks, they got to help NASCAR promote this sport, and they got to reach out to the fans. They can't hide in their motorhomes anymore because it's fading on them. You know, they got to keep it going. They got to hype it up. So now that even somebody like Kyle Busch, who's crazy as Kyle Busch, now he's going in the grandstands and taking care of the fans. And it really goes back to Travis Pastrana. Remember Travis Pastrana racing NASCAR for a little while? He was giving his shoes away. Remember, he used to take his shoes off and give his racing shoes away.
I would not want those, but yeah. But here's the thing.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't. Those colors, hell no. I'm not living in the '80s, Sam. But here's the thing, like Sam, you've done the IndyCar at Pocono thing, and you've had access like right to the drivers, and the drivers go up and sign autographs and stuff like that from IndyCar. So I mean, for them, it's kind of a normal thing. NASCAR, it's kind of a rare privilege. But if you go to like an NHRA event, you can walk right up to all the trailers and meet the people and stuff. I mean. It seems like NASCAR is actually the odd man out with driver access.
But you think about it. As much as you can't deny that Jimmy Johnson's one talented son of a gun. However, he is as bland as a piece of paper. He works out. He goes skiing on the weekends.
Doesn't he do a lot of biking?
Doesn't do anything cool. Yes, right. And to some people that's cool, but to an average, and I think it's cool as hell. I mean, I think it's awesome that he does it. I think it's awesome that he does his own social media and everything. But I think most NASCAR fans can't relate to it. So in return, I don't think Jimmy Johnson. First off, let me rephrase this. 10 years ago, Jimmy Johnson was not popular whatsoever. He won every damn race. People hated him for it. But even now, when he stopped winning, I don't think he has that fan base anymore because he's not as personable. Like Bubba Wallace making Domino's commercials. That's relatable. My roommates eat Domino's all the time, or Papa John's, whatever. I mean. You got to make yourself relatable. Carl Edwards did it. Clint Boyer does it. Scott brought up Kyle Busch finally getting the thing. Crap on Kyle Busch all you want, but Samantha always videotapes Kyle doing cool stuff, like on a Monday or Sunday after the races at a drive-thru. He would sign some kid's hat he'd see inside the restaurant, or he'd drive past them and reach over outside on the freeway and sign some shirts. I mean, I just think it's really cool, and I'm not going to lie, I am now becoming a Kyle Busch fan because of it. And you can't say he's not talented. He can drive a race car.
I do have to ask though: is he still doing that when she's not filming? Let's just be honest.
Right, I get what you're saying.
Because I know. Look, they're all entitled to some personal time too. I'm not trying to deny that. But is he only doing it when she's filming? Like, hey, look, we're gonna film me. I'm gonna go do something cool, and then once it's off, I'm gonna say, "Fuck." Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Jesus.
It's something. I'm not a big Willie Nelson fan. Love country music. Not a big Willie Nelson fan. You go smoke weed with Willie, whatever. Do your thing. However, my parents always said,
"Don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys."
Podcast host.
Eric Brennan back. Josh Sink person over there.
However, my parents always said it was the coolest thing ever because
everything's great.
Willie Nelson would stay till the very end of his shows and sign anyone who wanted to wait and stuff, give him autographs. I think that's so cool. And you want to know what? If you have to smoke weed to do that as an artist or a driver, smoke the weed. Smoke the devil's lettuce. Not as you drive. I'm just saying that afterward. And I don't promote smoking weed. It was just a joke. But regardless, so I think that puts the bow tie up on IndyCar, Mayor of Shimtown. We appreciate you listening.
Is that a Chevy reference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because Joseph Newgarden, bow tie. Right. There's your Chevy win there, Scott. And
whatever your name is.
Scott, you raced this weekend at Wall Stadium. It was fan appreciation night. And they had Fan Fest going on. Josh, were you at Wall Stadium?
I was working on my kitchen floor.
Okay.
My understanding was it was going to be really freaking cold. Which it ended up not being that
cold over there. It was actually warmer than opening night. I mean, during the day, opening night was warmer, but it didn't get drastically cold like it did opening night. It was actually pretty.
I thought it was
nice
going to though. So it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, you're right. I thought so too, because they were, the Weather Channel was saying that it was going to be 60 degrees, high of 60, and then the lows at like 30s, but it never got down that low.
My phone, my weather app gave me an alert for a freeze warning. I'm like, okay,
Right,
yeah. So,
and I definitely think it scared the fans away. I mean, we always argue with Eric Brennan. Eric Brennan always talks about how he was a NASCAR fan when he was a kid, and then he loved.
He
Saturday
still is
night
a kid.
Yeah, he's. I mean, he still lives with his mommy, but
Scott, I love you.
But he used to talk about how he loved Saturday night racing on TV and NASCAR because as a kid he loved sitting home and watching it. Mm-hmm. And we had to explain to him that it kills the short track attendance, and the attendance at Wall Stadium Saturday was very low. I mean, there wasn't a good crowd there at all, and I think part of the reason was what Josh has said. He was getting freeze warnings on his phone. Plus, the Richmond race was on TV, so I think a lot of people stayed home and watched the Richmond race rather than coming out to their Saturday night short track that night.
Scott sounds like he had to sit down to Eric Brennan and give him the old birds and the bees talk, but with short track racing and NASCAR, I was like, hey, listen, these things don't work out. They don't work.
Oh, it's incredible. Anyway, yeah, so apparently there's a lot of action. Scott, unfortunately, was part of it. It seems like.
I had a tough night. I mean, my night started out great. I mean, right now for the first 3 weeks, we don't do the handicap system. We do a draw, and that's your starting spot for the heat race. And then where you finish in your heat race is where you're starting to feature, which I kind of like. But anyway, I drew great. I drew 31.
When you run up front every week, of course you like it, Scott.
Yeah. So I drew 31st out of 200. So that put me in a pretty good spot in my heat race. I started third in the first heat. And unfortunately, when I pulled down on the track, I noticed my motor was running a little rough. I'm like, oh, I got a problem here. And I just checked the timing in the pits, and the timing was good and everything. When they threw the green flag, my car didn't go nowhere. I was down a cylinder, and I ended up finishing third in the heat race anyway on 7 cylinders. And when we pulled in the pits, we took the valve cover off and we broke a rocker stud, and one of the rocker arms fell off. So we had to fix that. We had to drain the water out of the car. We're not allowed screw-in studs in our division. They're all press-ins. So we have
we're allowed 2.
What's that?
We're allowed.
Yeah, we're allowed 2. Unfortunately, the one that broke was not a screw-in stud.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, either way, I can pull them out. It doesn't matter. I have a puller. So you have to drain the water out before you pull the stud. So we drained the water out, pulled the stud, we fixed it. We went out for the feature. Unfortunately, I was starting a little further back in the feature. Because I didn't qualify that well because the rocker stud broke and I got tangled up in like the second lap in a wreck, and the car got damaged pretty good. That's the first race I dropped out in over there in about 4 years. So, I mean, I can't complain. A lot of people say, are you mad? Are you mad? You mad? I'm like, no, I'm not really mad. I'm like, I have great luck over there, and I never really have any problems.
I wouldn't blame you for being. Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for being a little unhappy with it. Just because, I mean, it sucks anytime your car's getting wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, my car got tore up pretty good, but whatever, Now, me and Nancy talked about it at the beginning of the year. We're not going to kill ourselves over this year. We're really trying to have fun. We're going to take our bad nights with our good nights, and that's what we did Saturday night. I had a bad night. Big deal.
Yeah. Where did Nancy end up finishing?
She ran very well. I mean, she finished 11th. We had 23 cars start that race. She finished 11th on the lead lap, so she had a good run. She's actually only a couple points behind me, Josh. That killed me in points because we had so many cars. We had 23. I think I was scored 18th, so I left there with very little points.
Well, no, I wanted to. I'm sorry, Sam. I was just saying that's great for Nancy. But now I saw a picture of your car and the damage. I know you ended up hitting the outside fence a bit. But that damage, I was told from another source today.
After the fence. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much saved it with the fence part. I had it pretty much locked down when I got turned up into the fence, and just the front bumper hit the fence and did a little dammer. Mm-hmm. Then I slid down the track because I was trying to keep it out of the wall, and I was stopped. For a while, and everybody missed me except that one unfortunate car just slammed right into me. And,
which happened to be Brian O'Shea.
Brian O'Shea. He said he just didn't see me. He said someone was in front of him when they swerved. I was there, and he just ran right into me. I mean, I was a sitting duck, and he got me right. And I actually messaged Tim O'Shea today. I'm like, because O'Shea is one of my sponsors, and I have their name on the right front fender, and O'Shea's Auto Repair. And Brian O'Shea works at O'Shea Auto Repair. So I messaged Tim. I said, do you think it's kind of ironic that Brian O'Shea hit me right in the fender with the O'Shea's Auto Repair? I'm like, I think he hates his job. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough night. It was a tough night. It was one of the toughest nights I had over there in a while. But
how bad was
whatever.
the damage in reality? Because I know you had the cosmetic from the fender and stuff like that. How bad is the
Yeah,
damage
I mean,
inside?
the picture you saw is when we already fixed it to get it on the trail. We already had changed the upper A arm at the track to get it on the trailer, so it didn't look as bad in those Facebook pictures.
You folded the control arm, spindle okay?
The spindle was bent, and the upper A arm ball joint, that was all gone. The bottom ball joint and the bottom A arm were fine. So yeah, the damage was the door defender, which I just pushed out with a Porter Power and straightened it the best we could. And we put a new upper A arm on it. And
did you put a new O'Shea's auto repair logo on there?
I know, the logo's held up tough. The logo held up tough.
Worth asking.
And you know what? Brian did come over and talk to me after the race. He said he was sorry he ran into me. He couldn't get stopped, whatever. He's a young kid. He's new to racing. He's doing very well for his age, and I wish him well. A lot of people complain because it was two people that got into me that were younger start out drivers. The first one that hooked me into the fence, and the second one that finished me off in the wreck. But you know what? It's what the factory stock division's for, though. I mean, these young kids want to start racing, and the factory stock division is a place where they can start racing. So I can't be mad at them for having a bad night and me getting caught up into it. Whatever. They're out where they need to be, and they're learning. And Brian did come over and talk to me about it, and it was good talking to him about it.
Scott, you're about to have a mustache.
Oh man, Scott, that is practice, man. I am cracking up. Your cat just walking back the screen. Anyway, I had a point I wanted to make up because I don't do social media a lot when it comes to the track because I don't poop where I eat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. However, I did notice that, and we mentioned on the show, the lack of the availability of buying a race-ready factory stock. And you mentioned how the car counts are up so high. Do you think that's a selling point to a lot of people, even in the higher divisions at Wall, to come step down and race with factory stocks, which is equal?
No, I mean, we do have a lot of cars out there. It kind of drives me crazy. All these people, I mean, Nancy gets messages all the time. Hey, I'm looking to buy a factory stock. Do you know any for sale? People are putting posts on Facebook saying, I want to buy a factory stock. I got money. I want to buy one. What happened to the days where you built one? You know what I'm saying? It drives me crazy, man. I mean, I build my own cars. That's why I have them. There's not enough people out there willing to build them. Everybody wants to buy them race ready. I don't know. I like building my own stuff.
Well, from my vantage point on it now, Sam, I'll answer your question first. And I don't think it's the car counts that entice people. I think it's that if you look at your options, the factory stocks are more affordable out of the divisions that you can race at Wall. And they're the most entertaining. And because of the fenders, you can usually take a bit of a beating and keep going. There's a lot more give.
I mean, look how hard of a hit I took. I mean, I got walloped, and I lost an A-arm and a spindle. Big deal. You know what I'm saying? If that was a modified, the clip would have been ripped off the damn car. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, too, why I think the factory stock division is so strong. And you just made some great points, the affordability and the great racing. Here I am. I've done everything I can do in the factory stock division. I would love to move up into another division, but here are my options. Late models. They had 4 cars. Mm-hmm. Am I going to go spend $1 million to buy a late model and race against 4 cars? No, I'm not.
Why? You're guaranteed a top 5.
Yeah, I understand that, but I want to race.
I know.
Here's my other sportsman. Now, Josh, why would I want a sportsman car?
Oh my God! Let me open up this scroll of why you don't want to join a sportsman.
And I love the modifieds division. Unlike Josh, I do love the modifieds. I think they're awesome race cars. But bottom line is, I just can't afford one. There's just no way. I had one for a couple of years, and it made me go broke. So I stay away from the modifieds. The late model division, the late model's got 12 to 15 cars. I would really think about getting a late model, but they don't. And the sportsman division, the crate motor deal, I like the motor for cost effectiveness, but everybody has the same thing, and it's just single file racing, and the only way you can pass is to bump somebody out of the way. And there's really nothing else for me at Wall Stadium that I can either afford or entices me because the car counts are low.
Well, I think you fit into a Legend better than you used to.
Yeah, but the Legends are struggling to get cars there too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Legends have the Legends seem to run like a really good competitive all green race, or they have like 8 red flags.
Right. The legend cars are struggling a little bit while getting car counts too. I think they only had 7 or 8 this week too. I mean, me and Nancy did talk about that at one time. I said, if you don't like the factory stocks racing with the guys, and I do lose this weight that I'm trying to lose, which I did lose, we can get a couple legend cars and go travel all over the place with them. But she seems real happy in the factory stock, so we're just going to stay doing that.
I would feel safer in a factory stock, if nothing else. I feel like there's more room around me.
You know what? Plus, I'm 44 years old. I know the ins and outs of a factory stock. I can build them from the ground up. I can fix them. I can repair them. I can do everything. I don't know the first thing about a legend car, so I'd be learning all over again. So that's another reason I stay with the factory stocks. It's something I know. I have the parts for it. I have parts cars. I have tons and tons of parts for them. So I just keep racing them. I like it. It's a great division. It's a lot of fun. And now Nancy's doing better and she's having fun with it. We're having a blast with the factory stock division.
Well, to finish up my my other point on why you're talking about everybody wanted to buy a race ready one, which of course I mean it's easier for a lot of people just to put out a few extra bucks instead of putting in because it's a lot of time and a lot of effort. And now for me, I basically ended up learning so much about these cars because I had bought a essentially race ready one from Chris Felber, and then as things broke, I learned how to fix them. I didn't know it from the ground up because I was working on one like that, and it was just one weird problem after another, or this didn't fit, and I learned so much more and how to fix things.
I'll tell you a crazy story. Stuff fits and stuff that don't fit. I've been carrying a right front spindle on the back of my truck for like the last 4 years, which is a spare one that someone gave me. It has the same exact part number on the back. It says RH, which is right hand 756. Right. The spindle that was bent on my car was an RH 756. Right. So I put that spindle on the car. I greased the wheel bearing, put the hub on. I put the hub on. I put the hub nut on it, the spindle nut on it, and I can only get 2 threads on it. I can't turn the nut far enough to get the cotter pin through it. I'm like, well, the bearing's not going all the way. Well, what's stopping this from working? So I'm looking at the back, and the bearing's all the way up against the spindle. I'm like, what's going on? So I pull the hub back off. I measure the spindle where the spindle nut goes on and the hub goes on. It was 3 inches and 5/8. So then I measure my bent one, and it was 4 inches. I'm like, this thing's like, almost a ½ inch shorter.
Wow.
And I never figured out why. I actually had to run to my friend's house where I keep my parts car, grab a Monte Carlo, bring it back to my house, pull the spindle off, clean it up, put it on, and that one was 4 inches and it fit right on it. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know. And it was kind of weird. So
something weird for me was coming from Felber's car, which that's a 78 Grand Prix, not a Monte, but there's still a G body. But the difference, the spindles were actually, I had to get different sized bearings for when I.
Well, that part's common. There is a big bearing and a small bearing for some of these metric cars, and even when you go to the Coleman safety hub that we're allowed to use now, they use a bigger outer bearing.
Okay.
So that's kind of common. There is 2 different size outer bearing. All the inner bearings are the same. There is a small outer bearing and a bigger outer bearing, but the inner bearings are all the same.
Yeah, but that was a weird thing that threw me off. I was like, oh, it's the same thing, same G body or whatever. And then lo and behold, you swap that around, and it was a big deal. But and
you're better off with the bigger bearing in our division only for reliability. You increase it lasts longer.
Yeah, well, it's less.
And what's amazing now too is like the bearings. Do you ever come across a plastic bearing? They make the outer bearings in a plastic cage. The bearings are still metal. But the case, the cage,
what holds them in their spots is plastic.
And when I first got that car, it had the plastic ones, and I was afraid to use them. I greased them up. I used them for 3 years. They actually work pretty good,
Wow, I just figured with all that heat and everything, I can't believe they'd hold up.
I was afraid of using them too, but I use them and they actually work. But you just got to keep an eye on them and grease them every 3 races.
Oh, to wrap up the factory stock stuff, there were 3 DQs. Our buddy Elliot Wall, Richie Byrne, and Bill Stocker. Do we know what the DQs were for?
I mean, it's really not my place to say, but that's the one thing I wish Wall Stadium would do. I even tell Rob Heyer, I said, you know what? You go to some of these other racetracks and you go on their website and there's a DQ or someone gets suspended for fighting. They put it right on there. Some of these tracks even have something called the penalty box, and they'll say, this guy got caught with tire softener. And I told Rob, I said, you guys kind of keep these DQs a secret. You should let everybody know so that if they're doing it, they'll stop doing it. It's like you can kind of police the whole pits by one DQ if you tell the people what it's for, I'm friends with Elliot Wall, and he did call me today. He had
Are our shirts ready, did he say?
Oh, I didn't know about that. He had adjustable spring buckets in the rear, which aren't legal.
Okay.
But they were still within we have the half-inch rule from side to side. Yeah. They were still within the half-inch rule. So what's the difference if you do it by stacking shims up or having an adjustable one? But it's we're not allowed to have adjustable ones, so you got DQ'd for that. Richie Burns, I heard he failed the vacuum on his cam, but I haven't talked to Richie yet about it. I'm also friends with Richie, but I haven't heard from him about that. So that's just what was going around the pits, that his vacuum failed on the cam.
Now, Bill Stocker didn't finish up in the top there. So
I'm kind of curious what happened to Bill Stocker, but it could be a tire bank thing. He maybe never established a tire bank, so they DQ'd him for that. It could be that he never had his motor sealed because Rob Hires is keeping a track of everybody has to have a seal on their motor this year, and he might have been on the list where he might not have been sealed. I'm not sure. I am friends with Bill, but I don't have his phone number. He's not a Facebook guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
I am friends with him. I do talk to him
check
when I see
in with him.
But Bill's a great guy, but I have a feeling it's some technical thing because it's not like he won through tech or anything.
And I don't picture him going out and wrecking somebody and getting DQ'd for.
If I had to guess, it's probably a tire bank infraction. Maybe he didn't establish his tire bank, or he didn't get resealed for the 2018 season.
Okay,
and they know that, and he went out on the track without being sealed, so they might have failed him for something like that.
Well, he just wants to race.
Real quick,
I know, and that's the spirit of that division. But everybody, if everybody else has, it cost me $300 to get my 2 cars resealed and inspected this year. So, if I had to do it, I feel everybody has to.
Was that done at your shop?
Yeah, it was at my shop. It was 100 cars, 125 for the tech inspector and 25 for the seals. I had 2 cars, so it was $300. Wow.
So the one guy who didn't have any issues in tech was Mike Montano. Mike Montano ended up winning the factory stock feature. Jimmy Blewett won again 2 times in a row so far this season, almost pulling a Kyle Busch, winning the modified feature. Kevin Davison won the sportsman feature. Brian Osborne won the four-cylinder feature.
Sam, it's Brain Osborne. I see it clear as day on here. It says Brain
you're
Osborne.
Right. It is Brain. However, it is Brian. Our boy Vinny Troya won the legend car division again, and Shannon Manjo took the win in the late model division at Wall Stadium.
So that's kind of crazy. There's a lot of repeat winners from opening night. Yeah, but things are going to. We got one more week with this type of qualifying, and then the handicap system starts. So things are going to, after this week, things are going to start shaking up again.
Right. So
I just love how people are counting points already, and it's just like there's so much more racing, man. It's like it's getting going. It's such a long season over there,
Well, I heard Nancy yell something in the background, I think.
Well, I think she thinks I'm referring to her, which I kind of am, because she's catching points and she's jumping up and down. That she's only 4 points behind me or something like that. I'm like, man, you can't even. I always tell people you can't even look at the points until the end of August. You know what I'm saying? Then you know where you're at.
Come on, just let me have my moment.
She's having her moment. She's got 2 11th place finishes. So.
I don't blame her. Enjoy it while you can.
And real quick. But I don't want to shift so quickly over to Wall. I forgot, because I'm the host. We forgot to talk about ARCA over in Salem Speedway in Indiana. Local guy, Christian X. Gonna go with X. Sorry, Christian. You probably listened to the show.
Racer X?
My bad. Yeah. He ended up winning the ARCA race over in Salem. He's from Middletown, New York. He ran for Venturini Motorsports, which is about 10 minutes from my school, and he ended up putting on a pretty good race.
It was a great race. I tell you what, I did watch it. I actually watched it twice. Josh, unfortunately, for some reason, doesn't have MAV TV, and he's missing out on a world of great racing.
I don't have cable, period. But
he doesn't have cable, period. So I don't know what he's up to down there. But anyway, MAV TV, and it puts on great racing. Not only did they show it live at 2:00, and I watched it when I was out in the garage repairing the race car. About the time I came in the house, I worked on that race car for about 10 hours on Sunday fixing it. I came in the house later to have dinner, and they re-aired it, so I got to watch it again. So I actually watched the ARCA race twice. the racing was good, and it was two very young kids battling for the win, and they were really going at it.
I
Unfortunately,
believe they were 15, 16.
Yeah, I mean, the one kid was 15 years old, and the last lap, he got a right front flat. He went straight into the wall, and it's an old school racetrack. There's no safer barrier. It's a hard.
Have you seen it, Josh? No. I believe it was Zane Smith. I still think
Zane Smith finished second. It was a different Smith, like Courtney Smith or something like that.
Chandler. That's right.
Chandler Smith was his name. It's confusing because the second and third were Smiths. Their both last name were Smith. Zane Smith ended up finished second after the other Smith wrecked while racing second on the last lap. He was trying to pass the leader, and he kept getting his right front underneath him, and they kept coming together. So I'm assuming either the fender got pushed in on the tire or the tire got sliced while they were racing. And the last lap, it went down on him going in the corner, and he went straight into the wall. And they did show video of him getting out of the car, and he was wobbling, and he was walking like he was drunk. He definitely got rattled in that wreck. And they did announce during the victory lane that they did take him to the hospital in an ambulance, but I haven't heard how he was after that. And he was 15 years old, and he looked like he was about 85 pounds. So he was a little kid. So hopefully he's fine. But he was driving great. There was an incident on pit road, Sam. Did you see that?
I did. I believe it was with the 32 of lost my.
If anybody knows, this race was at Salem Speedway, which is a very old racetrack in Indiana, high banked. It was really built for the midgets back in the day, and it's a wore out old school racetrack. And pit road was very, very tight. And there was an incident when a car pulled out of the pit, and it was hit about 3 or 4 crewmen changing the tire, and it knocked them down like bowling pins.
Oh, I did see that. Yes.
Yeah. They were real lucky to get out of there without any injuries. They looked scary because they looked like they were pinched in between the two cars. It was a scary part of the race.
Yeah, that was Gus Dean in the number 32. And unfortunately, it looked very similar to Domino's and just the way. I don't know what it is.
I want pizza all of a sudden.
It was a cringe moment, man. I know some people when they watch football, they like seeing the injuries, like breaking legs. I don't like that stuff. Whenever I know there's I got twisted or their knee got backwards, I cringe and turn away. And I did in this minute when I seen those guys getting hit. I just closed my eyes and cringed. I'm like, oh boy, this is bad.
And they still got the job done. Like Eric Brennan has no excuse not to be here. Put the damn beer down and come on the show. Yeah. Real quick, our boy Brandon Grasso finished 9th. And we have another Jersey native, Joseph Graff Jr. from Mahwah, New Jersey, finishing 11th.
Yeah,
so
he was a
solid day for the Jersey boys.
Joe Graffo was a lap down. Brandon Grasso wasn't.
Yes.
Josh's future ex-wife, Natalie Decker, she had a tough run. She was 8 laps down. She was the last car running on the racetrack. I know she had some rear end damage. She might have backed it into the fence at one time or got a rear ended somehow. But she had a great start to the season, finishing very well at Daytona, and she's starting to struggle a little bit.
Wait, Scott, what happened?
Stop, Josh. Just stop. Josh,
nothing.
Stop.
Skip, because I know what you got figured out over there, and I don't want to bring it up.
Alrighty. Well,
she had back bumper cover damage. Let's put it that way.
Oh, right.
She got nailed. She got nailed in the.
I don't know. But
she got nailed in the O'Shea Auto Repair.
But yeah, she had a tough race, and it's a shame because now that I have Nancy racing, we do pay attention to a lot of the women drivers, and they're doing great. And Natalie had a great run at Daytona, and she has now struggled at Nashville and now at Salem. Once again, I got to thank Menards. If you ever watch these ARCA coverages on MAV TV, every commercial is either Menards or a product sold at Menards. I mean, they're really dumping a ton of money into this ARCA, and they're putting on great racing because of it. So I want to thank them. They're doing a great job with that. Another weird thing that I don't know where I stand on this. I don't like it. But did you notice something weird in Victory Lane with that at that race, Sam?
I did not. I did not watch it.
Whenever you win with a Venturini car, Bill Venturini, the father that owns the team, he kisses his drivers on the lips. It's kind of weird.
All of them?
All of them. And this kid was like a 16-year-old boy that just looked weird, man.
He's Catholic.
I think we lost Scott.
Oh no, Scott froze.
Oh, that Catholic joke was really bad timing. But anyway, Scott, I think we lost Scott.
Good time.
I guess we have to catch up on ARCA. We're missing the wrong stuff. You know, the making out in victory lane after the Richmond and Indycar wins. But overall, man, this stinks. Scott, come back.
Wait, is he? Oh, wait. Oh, hey, Scott! Hey,
Scott!
Did the cat unplug your cord, Scott? Oh no, it paused. Wait.
I got you.
Okay. Did the cat unplug your Ethernet cable?
The cat unplugged my Wi-Fi, knocked the tower over. Hold on 1 second.
He did a pretty good job of getting back on there.
He did. Well, he's got to talk about the making out in victory lane for the ARCA race.
What did you lose me? What did I get?
Wait, what was that? I think Eric's.
I plugged.
No.
I don't know. I'm not keeping
That's
track.
weird.
Oh no, we're good. Okay, sorry. I am baffled at the moment.
You brought up the Venturini making out with his drivers in victory lane.
Yeah, I don't know how far we got or what you heard here, but I just want you to know this is what goes on at Edge of Divorce Motorsports Studio. Not only do we race out of this studio, not only do we RPM podcast out of the studio, me and Nancy are very into cat adoption and rescue. We have 2 rescue cats here. One was playing by the tower and knocked the internet cord out of it and unplugged me from the internet. So.
Yeah, you were frozen in a really awkward pose for a minute, but you're back.
I just said that, Bill Venturini kisses all his drivers in the victory lane, and you guys like froze on my screen like in disgust. I'm like, wow, is it that disgusting that you guys aren't saying that? And it took me a minute to realize, wait, I lost them somehow. And thankfully, where I plugged my cord into my computer, it lights up when we're connected. And I looked down and it wasn't lit up, so I realized one of the cats unplugged me. But they're rescue cats, and we love them, and we give them a place to play, so we don't get mad at them when they do stuff like that.
Much respect for Scott Riggleman, and I guess Nancy too.
Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, the way we got involved in rescuing cats was through a racing connection. I mean, racing's a great place to meet people. It's also a great place to network for business. But we, Robin Irvin, who is a writer for Area Auto Racing News, and she goes to all the races. She also races in the Sunday series. She got us hooked up with this cat rescue. It's called ESOL in Ewing, New Jersey. ESOL stands for Every Animal Should Enjoy Life. That's what ESOL stands for. She's the one that hooked us up with cat adoptions, and then we've been doing it. We have 2 rescue cats here that live with us now.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
No, I like that. That's right. Reminder, please have your pet spayed or neutered. I am not Bob Barker.
But anyway, getting back to the Bill Venturini thing, if you watch Victory Lane in ARCA, kisses his drivers on the lips. And what made this kind of even weirder is that his driver was 16 years old. So it just looked weird to me. They said everything's
his parents there?
His parents were standing right there. And it even made it more weird. They said the guy that interviewed the kid in Victory Lane said, what do you think about the kiss? He's like, because he won, because he won the race. It was the sweetest kiss ever, or something like that. It was creepy, weird, man. I don't know. It's supposed to be an Italian family tradition thing that men kiss each other. Whatever. I'm not into it. I think it was freaky. And if I drove
when Scott wins
I don't think I'd be kissing him.
I'm gonna run down and kiss him. When Scott wins,
if I win next weekend, Josh, run down and give me a big kiss. All right.
I don't think Scott would win if that was the case.
I'll take second tonight.
Hey, maybe that's why the kid in second just drove his car straight in the wall. He drove his car straight in the wall and then Bill Venturini in Victory Lane. But yeah, I'm not taking away anything from Venturini Motorsports. I mean, I think they had 4 or 5 cars in ARCA. They're a development team for Gibbs through Toyota, and they put a great product on the racetrack. And Will Kimmel, who is a 10-time ARCA champion, now works for Venturini Motorsports as a crew chief. So, I mean, whatever. I love the ARCA division now. I mean, how cool is the ARCA division? It's so cool. And I know it's an old racetrack and doesn't have super big grandstands, but they had a great crowd there for the Salem race. And
I would go.
They did. I did see that.
Yeah.
No, I would go watch that. I think that's fun. It just it depends on the thing because they're always a wreck fest at Daytona, but at the same time it's entertaining as hell. So
Yes. I love the arc of the video. You know what? And maybe that's why some of the Cup races are boring because everybody is so good. They don't make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody.
Yeah, you have to
so
rely,
good.
and motors hardly blow up anymore, so you have to wait for a tire to go down. And I hate when the right front goes down because there's nothing they can do. They're going to the wall. I hate those wrecks. I like. Was it It was for that No Bull Million years ago. I want to say it was like Ricky Craven and somebody like banging fenders, coming to the line. I'll have to find that finish, but it was like that to me was great, hard, exciting racing. But whatever, that's enough for that. Anyway, what have we learned today, Sam?
Oh, you gotta start with me first.
Yeah, of course.
I learned at the beginning of the show that Josh has had ice stick racing. I also learned that
what?
Ice stick. You said your crotch got really cold.
Yeah.
And then sticking with that theme, that crotch belts are not good tight. Unless you're Eric Brennan, then you probably can't feel a damn thing anyway. I learned that Scott needs Windex when he's at the track. I also learned that Josh.
You know what? I actually don't use Windex. I used to use Windex all the time, and like I said, Windex was streak a little bit. You know what I've been using that works good? Just water and Dawn dish detergent in a spray bottle. Yeah, it seems to work the best, and you got to be careful what rag you use too. Paper towel, a damn paper towel seems to work the best.
Oh, does it fog up at all, or does that help prevent fog?
You know what? I don't. My helmet does. Wall Stadium's bad for fogging up. I mean, because we're so close to the ocean. Mm-hmm. I haven't had a problem with fogging up, but Nancy did say that her visor and her helmet fogged up real bad Saturday. I told her when that happens, you just crack it open a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because
otherwise you end up having to get a blower and a whole other thing.
I run a Simpson Bandit helmet, and I have the air vents in the front of my helmet, which work great at Wall Stadium because my helmet doesn't fog up. Doesn't work so good at Big Diamond when the track's dusty and I'm sucking in air. Nancy has a Race Quip helmet, a little cheaper version helmet than Simpson, and she doesn't have the air vents in front of her helmet, so that might have been some of the reason why her helmet fogged up. And I told her when that happens, just crack it open a little bit, it'll unfog on you.
Usually once I get going, the air, I have that Zamp helmet, but then once the air is blowing across, it's usually fine. Anyway, anything else, Sam?
I also learned that Josh doesn't want Travis Pastrana's 1980s designed shoes, that Scott likes pill picking at Wall, and that Brian O'Shea hates his job, and that Scott likes to hit it hard.
Yeah. All right. Scott, what did you learn?
I learned Eric Brennan had something playing at 7:00, and it was not the RPM podcast.
It's very true. Is that all?
Yeah. I got to start writing these down. I got to get better at what you learn. I always forget we do it, and by the time you ask,
you've forgotten the first half of the show.
12 things. Guys got to be writing them down the whole time we're doing the show. See that? I got to get a sticky
I even
pad.
drew rain clouds for Joseph Newgarden's win. There you go. I can throw it away now.
I learned that Sam stole a table. I learned that Sam is not fazed by nuts when jacking. I learned that Truex needs 3 pumps. I also learned that Scott wants to do it now. He said it.
No, I agree.
Sam checks for skid marks. Hinchcliffe likes golden showers. And Sam is all for the devil's lettuce.
Right. And I also James Hinchcliffe and R. Kelly would be best friends.
That's it.
Alrighty.
So before we log off, we have this breaking news about Matt Kenseth. How do you think he's going to do at the Roush racing? Do you think he's going to elevate that team, or do you think he's going to struggle like everybody else?
I think he's going to struggle.
Yeah.
I don't think the cars are where it's going to be. My boy Christian Hicks brought up the situation. Maybe Trevor Bayne's MS came back. Maybe he's not feeling the best with the car.
Yeah, maybe.
We forgot Trevor Bayne had diagnosed MS a few years ago.
I remember when David Reagan was driving for Roush Fenway, and he lost his ride, and they gave him he had a few rides when Kyle Busch got hurt. Remember he drove for Gibbs for a while? Yeah,
Yep.
he said he couldn't believe the difference in technology that Gibbs had over Roush Fenway. He said Roush Fenway was like 5 years behind. Maybe
Yep.
now they're like 10 years behind. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like Jack is keeping his money to himself and not putting it into the race teams like he used to.
Right. I for Matt Kenseth's sake, I hope so, because he ended on such a high note with that win at Phoenix last year.
Right.
But we will see at Kansas. It gives us something to look forward to besides the Kansas race itself.
You know what? I'm a little disappointed. I like Matt Kenseth. He's a true old school racer. He came up through the late model ranks.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought when he got out of Cup racing, he was going to put a super late model team together and go do some super late model racing, and he didn't do that. But then again, maybe he's been working on this Roush deal for a while, and it's finally coming through with him. I mean, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that we don't know about. It's just weird how we were just talking about that though, and then Nancy brings her phone down and said, "Look, breaking news," you know. But I'm glad to see Matt back. I hate that he got shuffled out of Gibbs because he did have that win. You know, he did have a win. He was winning, and he was a chase eligible driver. You know, and let's face it. I mean, Eric Jones hasn't done much in that car since he's been put into it. You know?
No, I think he's another one they brought up too soon.
Right.
But I mean, what can you do?
He's got a big head. Like his head's like big. Like he's got a big jug head.
You said like mine?
Okay, wrap it.
Anyway, with that, everyone here at the RPM Podcast wants to remind you to not only follow us on social media and everything, but come out to the River Rock Restaurant in Brick, New Jersey this Sunday, April 29th at 12:30. We're doing a live show, great food, cold beverages. Josh Matthews and Scott Riggleman might be there. I will be there, and hopefully Eric Brennan. If not, we're still going to have a good time.
I don't think I have a choice.
Twitter, Instagram. You're right. You're pretty much the RPM Podcast.
Sam, also promote our other thing. I can never pronounce it. What's it called? Patreon?
Yeah, you had it right the first time, Scott. It's called Patreon. Yes.
Patreon?
Yes.
That's because he's coming after my job.
Patreon. If you can donate a couple dollars a month, I mean, we got some people on there $4 or $5 a month. We're not asking for a lot of money. We need a little money to keep this going. We did our very first thing last week. We did some bonus clips.
I gotta put them together, but I think we're going to do another one in just a couple minutes here.
Right. So you can thank us later. We're going to blue ball the crap out of you and show us what we offer here on the Patreon account, as my friend Scott Riggleman just brought up. We don't want your money, but we want your love and support. We want to keep doing this. So every dollar, every cent that you can give us, we appreciate. Go check us out at patreon.com/the RPM Podcast.
And you get some bonus clips. You know, last week, what was it, like Wednesday night, we all got together. We got on here and we had some fun. You know, we talk about a lot of other things in racing. We get a little freer with everything. We talked about, what did we talk about? Like our favorite rock bands and favorite
peanuts, cashews.
Oh yeah, we bought the cashew subject back and stuff like that.
And then Nancy shot it down.
The only way you can get that, bonus footage is through the Patreon thing, right?
Yes,
that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, don't forget to go subscribe to us and leave us a comment on iTunes. And there'll be buttons, hopefully, somewhere on YouTube in the link below. Whatever you need to do, whatever, get your rocks off. We appreciate it here at the RPM Podcast. And use that hashtag the RPM Podcast, or any post or any love you want to show us on the internet.
That's right.
I think that's it. So Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. We'll see you at River Rock. And this is the RPM Podcast.
Go to Wall.
Good night, everybody.
And go to River Rock.
And don't kiss Bill Venturini in Victory Lane. It's weird.